We have a beautiful 2011 Porsche Cayman S. This car came in because it's a non-runner. There's a problem with it. The problem that we're getting ready to actually address is not related to the starting issue. This is a totally different problem that I wanted to address that I have been seeing on some of the forums and videos regarding carbon buildup on intake valves, regarding DFI engines, M1A engines, 9 Alpha 1 engines. And specifically 2009 and up. So I already replaced the starter here, so time to actually show you guys our intake valves to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So here we see this is cylinder number 6. Let me see if I can get this camera to focus. I'm gonna go to cylinder number 5 because it was a much better. Oh, no signal. Kind of hard to see, but you get the idea. Look at all this carbon buildup on the intake valves themselves. Pretty nasty. This will restrict airflow and cause the RCATs, all your fuel trims, to run rich because there's now restriction of air, and the proper combustion will be adjusted for either compensating duty cycle on the injectors to lower the duty cycle, or you'll get a check engine light if it gets really bad. The issue with running a vehicle with carbon buildup is you will eventually have cylinder wash, which you will, and a lot of blow-by. So you'll notice blow-by in the actual intake itself, and there's going to be a lot of oil, excess of oil. That's because oil is being diluted with fuel now, and blow-by is passing through the rings because the oil viscosity is basically highly watered down. One way to tell is when you're doing an oil change, you'll have a saturated smell of fuel, or you can send the oil out and it can be determined that way. So the problem does exist, and it's actually a big problem, and it requires engine removal, and there's a carbon blasting equipment that has to be used. There's a walnut type media that we use to actually clean this problem and clean the intake valves so they can properly have good airflow. Here's what this machine looks like. Gotta go for a long walk here. Alright, let's see here. It's in the corner, tucked away. There it is. This is what we use to carbon blast intake valves on pretty much all cars. Porsches, Audi, any car that has carbon problems, Mercedes, BMW. And there's an adapter as well for your intake ports. That way you can actually have a tight seal, but that's what it looks like. In case you guys are wondering what this is a high performance turbo engine build that we are doing right now, but different video for this. The good news is the non-DFI engines, like these turbo cars, they don't have carbon problems. That's why they're so good. That's why they're the best. Even this Ferrari doesn't have carbon problems. These are all your standard port injection, so I kind of miss the old school stuff. But anyways, let's go back to the Cayman. So now you know 95% more than the average human. You know more about your Porsche than you ever known before. If you haven't ever heard of this problem, the more you know, the better. You can then properly maintain your vehicle and not have carbon issues, and you can have a great running vehicle because these cars overall are pretty darn bulletproof. And if anybody's out there and they're like, hey, this is ridiculous, these cars are like so unreliable, that I see guys always comment on, come on guys, let's be realistic. This happens on pretty much all your direct injected type engines, unless there's a pre-injector for before the intake valves themselves, which has actually been incorporated on a lot of the new engines. The intake valves have no way of being washed. So when the combustion and the AOS system's working and it's venting out all the fumes and oil residue, moisture into the intake to reburn, that's where it collects carbon. There's really no way around it. Fords have the same problem. A lot of cars actually have this issue. Mini Coopers, we don't work on none of those, but they all have this issue. So anyways, guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.